When most people think of a giant octopus, they picture a creature straight out of a sea monster story. From the Kraken to Cthulhu, giant octopuses seem almost otherworldly. Animals with arms spanning several meters, capable of changing color in an instant, squeezing through impossibly small gaps, and solving problems that seem far beyond what we would expect from an invertebrate. But while the giant octopus is real, it is not a single species. The giant octopuses belong to the genus Enteroctopus, a small collection of cold water octopuses found across the Pacific, Atlantic, and Southern Oceans. While they are united by their impressive size, these animals are remarkable for more than size alone. They are masters of camouflage, highly adaptable predators, and among the most intelligent invertebrates ever studied. Yet, despite their fame, much of this group remains shrouded in mystery. One species is among the best studied octopuses on Earth. The others are so poorly known that basic aspects of the biology remain uncertain. Some have only rarely been observed alive and are still the subject of ongoing taxonomic debate. In this video, we will explore the giant octopuses, what makes them unique, how large they really get, how they disguise themselves, why their intelligence has fascinated scientists for decades, and what they can teach us about the evolution of complex minds. These are not simply the largest octopuses in the world. They are some of the most extraordinary animals in the ocean. Members of Enteroctopus are large octopuses characterized by wrinkles or folds in their skin along their bodies. They are found in cold coastal waters and are known for their relatively large size. There are 4 recognized species. The giant Pacific octopus, Enteroctopus dofleini, is the largest known species of octopus. It is also one of the best studied octopuses, known for problem-solving abilities, complex behavior, and interactions with humans in aquaria and the wild. Much of what we know about octopus intelligence comes from this single species. The Patagonian red octopus, Enteroctopus megaloceathus, is found along the coast of Argentina and Chile. This species is commercially important, particularly in Chile, where it supports a small but valuable coastal fishery. As a result, its distribution is better known than most other giant octopuses. The southern giant octopus, Enteroctopus magnificus, is found along the coast of Namibia and South Africa. It is the largest giant octopus in the southern hemisphere and appears to fill a similar ecological role to the giant Pacific octopus, acting as a major predator in cold, productive coastal ecosystems. The 4th proposed species is the yellow octopus, Enteroctopus zelandicus, found in the waters to the southeast of New Zealand. Very few specimens are known, and its status as a species remains debated. Some researchers suggest it may represent a regional form of the southern giant octopus, while others note its similarities to the Patagonian red octopus, highlighting how much remains unresolved about giant octopus diversity in the southern oceans. Most of the information in this video is based on the giant Pacific octopus. The other species are all poorly studied, with far less known about their intelligence, breeding habits, and general biology. Whenever people talk about a giant octopus, they are almost always referring to the giant Pacific octopus specifically. Given their name, an obvious question follows. Just how large do they get? This is actually a more problematic question than it might first appear, because how does one measure an octopus? Their bodies are flexible and slightly elastic, making measuring length inherently difficult. Additionally, their ability to lose and regrow arms further complicates the issue. There are 3 measurements sometimes used. The most reliable is weight. This can still vary depending on whether the octopus is alive and wet or dead and dry, but it is far more repeatable than any other possible measurement. But weight also doesn't give eye-catching headlines, so it is not the only measurement used. There are 2 main methods commonly used to estimate the size of an octopus. Arm span is the length from the tip of one arm to the tip of another on the opposite side, while both are fully extended. Arm span is sometimes used despite its many issues. Arms do not align perfectly on opposite sides, and can be stretched to exaggerated lengths. The issue with missing or regenerating arms will also wildly influence the results. Different scientists measuring the same octopus can measure very different lengths. The position the octopus needs to be put in to take these measurements is also a highly unnatural pose. A living octopus would never be seen in this position. The alternative measurement is total length. That is the distance between the top of the mantle to the tip of one of its arms. This has less issues than measuring arm span, but still doesn't help with regenerating arms, and can also differ depending on which arm is used to measure. The giant Pacific octopus is often measured as arm span, despite its inaccuracy. The giant Pacific octopus is the largest octopus in the world, sometimes reaching a size comparable to a small car, with a typical arm span of 3 to 5 meters. For comparison, the average human arm span is around 1.8 meters, meaning the giant Pacific octopus can reach roughly 2 to 3 times wider. Adults typically weigh between 15 to 50 kilograms, although there are occasional reports of individuals weighing more than 70 kilograms, but these are extremely rare and may be exaggerated. Measuring arm span in giant Pacific octopuses does have one advantage, despite its inaccuracy. This is that they are very common in aquaria and research labs around the world. One way to reduce that uncertainty is simply to do a large number of measurements, and scientists have had plenty of opportunities to do that with this species. So we are fairly confident that this arm span is relatively accurate. However, comparing the sizes of the different species of giant octopus is difficult. Giant Pacific octopuses are almost always reported using arm span, as the other species are much less well known and far less common in captivity. They are usually reported as total length instead. As these measurements describe different things, direct comparisons are unreliable. Even so, the largest of these other species appears to be the southern giant octopus, reaching a total length of 1.8 meters. While these species are certainly large octopuses, none approaches the enormous size of the giant Pacific octopus. One of the most remarkable abilities of giant octopuses is their camouflage. Despite being some of the largest octopuses in the world, they have an extraordinary ability to disappear into their surroundings. This camouflage is not achieved through color change alone. Giant octopuses can alter their color, texture, and even body shape, allowing them to blend seamlessly into the sea floor. Many animals can change color, but few can do so as quickly as an octopus. A chameleon may take seconds or even minutes to complete a color change. A giant octopus can transform its appearance in less than a second, faster than the blink of an eye. So how do they achieve this impressive speed? Embedded within the skin are thousands of specialized pigment organs, known as chromatophores. By expanding or contracting these structures, an octopus can rapidly change the colors and patterns covering its body. Additional skin structures, known as iridophores and leucophores, help produce reflective and pale colors, giving the animal an even greater range of appearances. Together, these systems allow giant octopuses to alter their appearance with extraordinary speed and precision. But matching the color of the background is only the beginning. Giant octopuses can also alter the texture of their skin using structures called papillae. All octopuses have papillae, but those on giant octopuses have an unusual shape. Unlike the more typical conical structures, giant octopus papillae are paddle-shaped. This is actually one of their diagnostic features, but exactly why they developed a different shape in Enteroctopus species is unknown. Papillae can be raised or flattened to produce bumps, ridges, and folds that mimic the texture of rocks, coral, algae, and other features of the sea floor. An octopus resting on bare sand can appear almost smooth, while the individual among rocks may suddenly become rough and uneven. The disguise does not stop there. Giant octopuses can also change their overall shape by adjusting their posture and the position of their arms. By flattening the body, curling the arms, or pressing themselves against the sea floor, they can break up the familiar outline of an octopus. Predators are often very good at recognizing shapes, and an animal that no longer resembles an octopus becomes much more difficult to detect. This camouflage serves two purposes. It helps giant octopuses avoid predators such as large fish, sharks, and marine mammals, but it also helps them hunt. A crab or fish is much easier to catch when it does not realize a giant predator is sitting right beside it. Interestingly, octopuses are generally considered to be colorblind, possessing only a single visual pigment in their eyes. Yet they are still capable of matching the colors of their surroundings with remarkable accuracy. Exactly how they achieve this remains one of the greatest mysteries of cephalopod biology. One possibility is that their skin plays a role. Octopus skin contains light-sensitive cells, raising the possibility that the animal may be able to gather information about its environment using parts of its body beyond the eyes. Another hypothesis involves the octopus's distinctive U-shaped pupil. Some researchers have suggested that this unusual pupil could allow different wavelengths of light to focus differently within the eye, potentially providing a way to extract information about colour, despite having only a single visual pigment. Neither explanation has been conclusively demonstrated, and the true answer may involve a combination of factors that scientists have yet to fully understand. Like many aspects of octopus biology, this remains an active area of research. Rather than simply changing colour, a giant octopus transforms its entire appearance. It changes colour, texture, posture, and shape simultaneously. Instead of hiding behind the environment, it effectively becomes part of it. One of the reasons giant Pacific octopuses have fascinated scientists for decades is their intelligence. While mammals and birds are often regarded as the smartest animals on Earth, the giant Pacific octopus proves that complex intelligence can evolve in very different ways. It is widely considered one of the most intelligent invertebrates ever studied. Giant octopuses have evolved impressive problem-solving abilities, learning capacity, and behavioral flexibility. Part of what makes octopus intelligence so unusual is the structure of the nervous system itself. An octopus possesses around 500 million neurons, about the same as a dog. However, unlike vertebrates, most of these neurons are not located in a central brain. Roughly 2/3 are distributed throughout the 8 arms. Each arm contains large nerve clusters that act almost like a mini-brain. These can process information and coordinate movement independently, allowing the arms to perform complex tasks without constant instructions from the central brain. Rather than having a single command center controlling everything, the giant Pacific octopus operates more like a network of cooperating processes. This arrangement is particularly useful because each arm contains hundreds of suckers capable of both feeling and tasting their surroundings. The central brain can focus on broader decisions, while the arms handle much of the fine-scale interaction with the environment. In a sense, an octopus does not simply think with its brain, it also thinks with its arms. Evidence of this intelligence comes from both laboratory studies and observations in aquaria. Giant Pacific octopuses can learn to solve puzzles, remember successful solutions, and manipulate complex objects to obtain food. Individuals have been observed opening containers, navigating obstacles, and investigating unfamiliar objects with obvious curiosity. Aquarists often describe them as active problem solvers that quickly learn the routines of their environment. Perhaps the most famous examples involve escapes from aquaria. Giant Pacific octopuses are notorious for squeezing through surprisingly small gaps, opening lids, and exploring areas outside their tanks. Their soft bodies allow them to pass through openings little larger than their beaks, but successfully escaping also requires the ability to identify routes, manipulate obstacles, and navigate unfamiliar surroundings. Stories of giant octopuses escaping their enclosures are so common that secure lids have become a necessity in many aquariums. Scientists do not suggest that giant octopuses are intelligent in exactly the same way as mammals. They are generally solitary animals and do not form the complex social groups seen in dolphins, elephants, or primates. Instead, their intelligence appears to be adapted for a different challenge: surviving alone in a complex environment where success depends on problem solving, exploration, hunting, and the ability to respond flexibly to new situations. The result is one of the strangest minds on the planet. A large, soft-bodied mollusk with 8 semi-independent arms and a distributed nervous system has evolved cognitive abilities that rival many vertebrates. Intelligence did not evolve just once. Nature has found multiple ways to build a complex mind. For an animal with such a remarkable brain, the giant Pacific octopus lives a surprisingly short life. Many individuals survive for only 3 to 5 years. During that time, they must grow from tiny hatchlings into the largest octopuses in the world, reproduce only once, and then die. This creates a fascinating contradiction. Giant Pacific octopuses are among the most intelligent invertebrates on Earth. Yet, unlike many mammals and birds, they have no opportunity to pass that knowledge on to the next generation. By the time an octopus hatches, both of its parents are already dead. Like nearly all octopuses, the giant Pacific octopus is semiparous, meaning it reproduces only once during its lifetime. When a male encounters a receptive female, he uses a specialized arm known as a hectocotylus to transfer packets of sperm. In giant octopuses, this arm is unusually long and slender compared to those of many other octopus species. the male's role ends there. Following reproduction, his health gradually declines and he typically dies within a few months. The female's final chapter is much more dramatic. After mating, she retreats to a den and lays tens of thousands of eggs, attaching them in long strings to the ceiling of the shelter. Over the following months, she devotes herself entirely to their care. This is not passive protection. The eggs must be constantly cleaned and guarded against predators. The female carefully circulates water over them to ensure they receive enough oxygen and remain free from harmful growths. Depending on the water temperature, this process can continue for many months. During this time, the female gradually stops feeding. Instead of leaving the den to hunt, she remains with the eggs almost continuously. As the months pass, her condition deteriorates. By the time the eggs are ready to hatch, she is often weak and emaciated. Eventually, the young octopuses emerge, each only a tiny fraction of the size they will one day achieve. Soon afterwards, the female dies. This means that giant Pacific octopuses never meet their offspring. There is no parental teaching, no transfer of hunting techniques, and no sharing of knowledge between generations. Every young octopus must learn to survive on its own. Perhaps this is one reason octopuses learn so quickly. A dolphin, elephant, or human can spend years learning from parents and other members of its social group. A giant Pacific octopus has no such luxury. It enters the world alone and must rapidly learn how to navigate a dangerous environment using only instinct and individual experience. Of the tens of thousands of hatchlings produced by a single female, only a tiny fraction will survive long enough to reproduce. The survivors grow rapidly, become highly intelligent predators, and eventually repeat the same cycle. The life of a giant octopus is therefore both extraordinary and brief. It grows quickly, learns quickly, reproduces once, and dies. All of the intelligence, adaptability, and complexity that make these animals so remarkable are compressed into just a few short years. Giant octopuses are fascinating simply because of their size, but that is not what makes them important. What truly sets them apart is what they reveal about intelligence, evolution, and the limits of our understanding of the natural world. For a long time, cognition was often viewed as something fundamentally associated with vertebrates. Animals such as mammals and birds possess large brains, complex behaviors, and the ability to learn from experience. Giant octopuses challenge that assumption. They are mollusks, more closely related to clams and snails than to any vertebrate. Their lineage diverged from our own more than 500 million years ago. Yet they independently evolved sophisticated problem-solving abilities, impressive memories, and a capacity to adapt their behavior to new situations. In many ways, this makes giant octopuses one of evolution's most remarkable experiments. Their intelligence did not arise along the same path taken by humans, dolphins, crows, or chimpanzees. Instead, it evolved independently, producing a mind that often reaches similar outcomes through entirely different biological mechanisms. Studying giant octopuses, therefore, helps scientists understand not only how intelligence works, but how it evolves in the first place. They also showcase how much remains unknown about the oceans. Even within Enteroctopus, one of the best-known octopus genera, basic questions remain unanswered. The exact relationships between species are still debated. Some species have only been collected a handful of times. We still do not fully understand how octopuses are able to match the colours of their surroundings so effectively, despite apparently lacking conventional colour vision. For all our advances in marine biology, giant octopuses continue to keep many of their secrets. Few marine invertebrates have captured the human imagination quite like octopuses. Divers often describe encounters with them as unusually memorable. Aquarists frequently report individuals with distinct personalities and behavioural quirks. Their combination of intelligence, curiosity, and apparent awareness can make interactions with them feel surprisingly personal. Whether these impressions reflect something uniquely special about octopuses, or simply our own tendency to recognize intelligence when we see it, they have helped make octopuses some of the most beloved animals in the ocean. The giant octopuses are therefore more than just oversized versions of familiar octopuses. They are masters of camouflage, skilled predators, devoted parents, and among the most intelligent invertebrates ever studied. They live fast, learn quickly, reproduce only once, and disappear almost as suddenly as they arrive. And perhaps that is what makes them so compelling. Despite their large size and decades of study, giant octopuses remain mysterious. They are a reminder that intelligence can evolve in unexpected places, that the oceans still contain unanswered questions, and that some of the most extraordinary animals on Earth are not those most similar to us, but those most different. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the giant octopuses. If you're interested in the research behind this episode, you can find a document with image credits and sources in the description below. These videos take a great deal of time and research to produce. They will always remain free to watch. But if you would like to support the channel and gain access to new videos a little earlier, you can find a link to my Patreon below as well. And to everyone who already supports the channel, thank you. Your support genuinely helps make these videos possible. If this video sparked your curiosity, don't let it stop here. Share it, talk about it, and keep learning. There's still so much to discover about the world's rare and remarkable species. And the more we understand, the better our chances of protecting them. Thanks for watching.